containers first, different types of
Right,
containers.
some samples today. So
And
you
then
want
we
to go
can
over?
talk about potting soil, but containers first, it's always a
Sure.
good place to start.
Why don't we go over one of the most common ones? Maybe. So, this is, let me pull this out.
She gets whacked.
Oh, sorry, bushwhacked.
Bro, what's what you get?
I've been hit by a lot more.
This is Gara. It's a native, great drought hardy, xeriscape, tough plant. Every yard should have one of these. It's so tough that we have one that's grown in a pot this size, has been in it for years. It's way overgrown. So it's been in there way too long, and eventually we'll have to finally pull it out, but it's so tough and so great. Just sits there in a little tiny pot with this great big plant. It looks disproportionate. And so we put it in a place that has this feng shui kind of feel, but I like this because when it blows in the wind, it just adds a lot of motion, kind of like a grass. But then the hummingbirds and butterflies love this plant. We also have it in the ground up by the mailbox, and we just have it growing out there. It's just off the outside of the grid of our irrigation, and it does great, just all by itself. But this pot, going back to this, terracotta, like your grandparents used, this you do not want to garden in year-round. We sell them here because people, they're inexpensive, they're old-fashioned, they're healthy, the plants like growing in these. The negative is, with our freeze and thaw cycle in spring and fall, the water gets in this clay, and then as the water expands, it just wreaks havoc on the clay. So it will crack and flake and peel. So this is only good for a couple of years, maybe, if you're gardening in it year-round. Really, we tell folks, empty it out and store it in the garage or the garden shed through the winter. So it's only a growing season kind of plant. So we're inside. We don't have freeze and thaw. So the same with Mexican clay. That has it's kind of a lighter color than this with that charcoal characteristic to it. Those are made for Phoenix. They're not made for up here. I've literally seen those melt in the rain even. So literally they'll just melt down in the rain because it's very low grade Mexican clay. And then they're just kiln. They don't use a kiln. They fire them in a fire pit. That's how they get the clay to harden. Well, that's not consistent temperature. You need a high-fired, dense, heavy clay to really make this work. So, anyway, don't.
The other negative with those, with bothers some people, is the minerals in our waters. We'll get a white film on the outside, and there's virtually no way to get rid of it. It bothers some people. Some people are like, it's okay, I'm okay with it. But you will get that white film on the outside, and it's really hard to get rid of.
I have got some of that off by using Pam and spray oil. Spray it on there, and sometimes it'll kind of wipe it off, get rid of it for a bit, but it comes back right away. Okay, so we don't encourage this. It's not healthy for you, your pocketbook, because they don't last that long. Great, the plants love growing in this. That's why they were so popular.
The other
Okay.
pottery that, what's the name of it? That real fancy Mexican pottery, very colorful. Talavera.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. We do not leave it outside in wintertime because it will not last. You will have broken pottery, I guarantee it. So-
Anything Mexican or South American, just use it inside the house as decorative Southwestern stuff, but don't plant it. You just won't be happy. So that's why we don't sell it here. All of our pots that we sell, not all, red clay obviously breaks. But most of our pots that we have out here, they're glazed, they're heavy, dense, made to garden in outdoors year-round. So we're going very specific factories in certain parts of the country for that reason. So you want to mention plastic pots, and then put together this hanging thing.
So plastic has some different positives. It's very light, very inexpensive. So if you're going to be, if you're going to hang it, and you want to be able to lift it up and down, plastic has some benefits because you can move it easily. Negative with plastic, especially in our Arizona sun, what's going to happen? It's going to bake and it's going to break, especially with the dryness and the sun. Yeah, I just thought of that.
You gotta use that on the radio, that's great.
That's just the negative. The positive, it's usually pretty inexpensive, so you can replace it fairly quickly and easily, but it will break, and it is going to get some discoloration just because our sun is just tough. We have a really hot sun here it's gonna discolor it, and it's eventually gonna harden it to the point where it is gonna break.
Within a couple of years, 2-3 years, you're gonna pick it up and the corners will just break right off.
Right.
That's what'll happen.
Yeah.
These are made for low price point. That's what they're made. That's the only reason. I can't afford the big expensive plywood, so I go with plastic. The negatives are they're hard to grow in. In the spring and the fall, we tend to overwater ours, so you get a lot of root rot because they don't breathe. And so we get so cool in the winter, they just don't dry out very fast. And then in the summer, they're also a negative because they bake, and then the sun, there's no insulative factor to it, so the sun just roasts the roots. They're kind of hard to deal with. Really, when we use plastic pots, we'll buy these pre-decorative things that we have pre-potted or pre-designed, and we'll just place those inside our other pots, and we use them as a fakey, quick, fast. We got a party, we decorate now, there, gone. And we put it inside another pot. Works out really well. Or I'll take them out, pull them out, and then put them in place, so plant them actually into my other pots. We have one plastic. That means we have aphids. We got to check them. We do have one plastic pot, and it's hanging. It's a lantana, which is this kind of plant here. And then you want to this kind of, what is that?
So, yeah, this is a variety of portulaca. Absolutely gorgeous. The blossoms on it are huge. And most of your portulacas, kind of have that little smaller blossom on it. This variety has a great big blossom on it, so it's spectacular the way it shows up. The reason it's a nice combo is because it has very similar water needs.
Yeah.
Lantana loves the heat and the sun, so does portulaca, and neither one of them wants to be sopping wet all the time. They can go a little bit dry, and they love the heat. So it's a good combination together because they have like needs. And that's very important when you're putting a container garden together. Put plants together that have like needs. Makes sense, right? So you don't want things that
Bees like this. Wow. These are also
I'm glad you're
pollinators.
holding that.
They're busy with the flowers. They don't even see me.
Right, but if you have a hot sunny spot that maybe you've had trouble growing other things, this would be a combination that would be really happy in that location.
This is hanging up on our south-facing wall, just at head height. It absolutely gets super hot. It's got to be 150, 120 against that radiating wall, and it's just happy and blooming. So nothing else would grow there. This will. So, and it's in a plastic pot because I just wanted something easy to hang. So, plastics. Stay away from plastics.
It has a place, but just be careful where you go.
Yeah.
And be aware of the
You
limitations.
should do this class. This is kind of neat. I brought these railings. We have a lot of decks here. And so this particular plastic pot, it's lightweight, so you go on a railing, but it's made for 2x4 and 2x6 kind of railings. You just place it on there, put your soil in, and plant. Brilliant design. And so it's got some water holding capacity. It's just kind of I think it'll be sturdy enough to take the wind gusts that we get, because the decks get blasted. And then it's big enough to hold some moisture and hold some bigger plants. So I brought this plastic for that. You want to explain the plant combo you got going there?
So it has a mandevilla in the middle, which is a terrific vine. It has kind of kind of rubbery, waxy leaves, so it actually does hold the moisture really, really well. It can tolerate full sun. I love this plant because it can go full sun, it can go in shade, it can go sunshade. Just a great plant. Unfortunately, it doesn't winter over. I wish it did.
It does. Bring it inside.
Bring it
I
inside.
think you have a greenhouse.
I give it to my sister who lives down in
Yeah.
Phoenix, and she winters over down in Phoenix, and brings it back up here in the summer, so we have a thing going. And we paired it with the vinca, which there again loves the sun. I love vinca in that it kind of self-deadheads. You just kind of go like this, and it shakes the blossoms off of it, so you're not out there trying to pick every little blossom off of it. Again, neither one of them is a heavy water user, so you're not going to be out there. They have very similar water usage, so I'm not going to be having to heavily water one. They're just very similar in their usage, and they're sun tolerant, so they both can tolerate the sun.
Blistering hot. I mean, just take a blow dryer to it in the middle of the day. It will be happy. They look delicate, but they're not. They're tough as nails. Yeah.
still well.
If
I
the
don't think it
roots,
would make it. You could
Yeah,
try
well,
it. I never say no.
well, you know, we got a couple of zone 8 things. We're playing with zone 8. Oh, that's a zone 10.
Yeah.
You know how zones work, the lower the number, the colder it can go. So the higher the number, like zone 9, 10, 11 is like Phoenix, desert kind of stuff. Zone 15, 20, that's like Death Valley stuff. So lower, we're a zone 7. That's our zone. That means you can have you need plants that go down to 0 degrees, in a nutshell, okay? So when you look at the plant tags, it'll say what zone. We're a zone 7 or lower. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, will all grow here. Zone 8, very borderline. Cordes Junction, probably Mayer, they're zone 8s. Definitely as you cross down to the Verde, that's all zone 8. So those are plants that go down to 10 degrees. We're playing with zone 8 stuff. We've got a couple cacti and stuff that are, this is a zone 8, right here. Zone 8 plant. One of the few cacti. So we're having good luck in a container, like you were saying. Having that up against a wall on a south-facing portion of our house, and they're wintering over just fine. So we created a little microclimate that keeps it from freezing. Now, that being said, last winter was wet, but it wasn't very cold. It got down to single digits a couple times, and it was right back up to just snow. So it was 20s and teens mainly this winter. So if I go sub-zero, about every 10 years we go sub-zero. That's when you see things get burned and damaged, that kind of stuff. So this, I'm going to play with it outdoors. I'm going to take one home, play with it outdoors, and then tuck it up against the house where I can maybe see if it will live. Because when a garden center, if it dies, we'll get another one. I don't want $30, whatever.
But maybe a heated garage or a
Oh, yeah.
insulated garage, if you wanted to try that had maybe some windows in it. But I don't think a Mandevilla even covered.
If the roots get down to 20 degrees or lower, dead. And we go below 20. So Mandevilla, enjoy it as an annual. Oh, even higher. You're zone 6. You're a zone 6. All the ridge lines are zone 6. So you need below 0. So this one, you could actually put in a pot. I brought this mainly because it was a black pot. And then it's just a cool cactus. But that looks like designer stuff. That should be in a magazine. And it could grow in there for years and years and years. It's also very heavy.
That you could definitely bring inside in the wintertime and just treat it like a house plant.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And it'd be perfectly happy.
We're always experimenting to see where the edges are. We're true gardeners. If you're not killing stuff, you're not a gardener. So we're trying to see where the edge, where the limits, where will this grow here, will also grow here. We're always testing how much sun a shade plant will take, how much shade a sun plant can take, how much cold. We have experimental gardens, just so we're trying to make the mistakes first before we subject our customers to the same torture. It's painful to watch plants die. Yeah.
Call my boyfriend and repeat that.
Don't mean to be a pain. I've got some of these big pots that I want to use for mine. I'm not keeping up with you real well. You don't have a little handout that has all these names, do you?
Of all the plants?
Well, yeah, because I'm like one I wrote down what? Porcelana and I know it is. So I'm thinking, so I'm going to come up and look like a real idiot when I'm saying I want this. I said no, that's not right.
We get it. If you even get close to the name, we'll go, oh yeah, we know what that is.
So did you hear what he was saying?
Yeah.
Do you have a list of all the plants we're mentioning? The answer is no. Because it changes so fast. We just put together, we went to the nursery last night, put combos and looked good. And so he felt foolish mispronouncing the names. Don't. It's totally fine. Because we're not pronouncing it right sometimes. Just say it with confidence. Look them in the eye. He must know what he's talking about. So just kind of go for it. But we're good at it. It's more than just, it's a bush with green leaves. It's big. What is it? If you're beyond that, we could probably identify it.
Yeah.
So we can
get remotely close.
The funniest one is Cotoneaster. It's spelled Cotton Easter. Everyone says Cotton Easter. They just don't know it's Cotoneaster. We try to, so I don't know. We're okay with that.
We're good.
Don't feel embarrassed.
We'll get you there.
Or do, but then get over it. Just,
Okay.
clay. We got this lightweight clay. This stuff is looks huge, light as can be. It's great.
It is good, and we actually had, one of our customers bought like 20 of these and actually painted them. And it
Oh, that's a
turned
good
out
idea.
Really, really neat.
It's a great
They
idea.
had them like brown and tan, really cool, turned out really, really nice. But yes, this is really lightweight, so it makes it very easy to move. This is a great combo. This is sedum. I know I'm giving feedback.
around until you
I know
don't
it's
give
you
feedback.
and you stand aside. I think it's a combo. So this is Autumn Joy sedum. Sedums are great. If you haven't grown many of the sedums, and you should, I'm just gonna,
Fumbled. No, you need to use that for the film.
Oh.
Taping this. So
Okay, but
It's gonna
it's-
correct it now.
So if you haven't grown mini sedums, you really should try. They are amazing. I love sedums because they are so easy to take care of because they don't require a lot of water. So if you do a lot of traveling, if you're just not really good about getting out there and watering as much as you should,
Sounds
try
better,
the
yeah.
sedums. Because they are just low maintenance plants.
So how many sedums do we have down there right now?
Most of your sedums tolerate the sun. There's a few that would probably appreciate some shade, but most of them want the sun. The ones that we have out under the lower greenhouse down here are all winter hardy, so they're gonna take our cold temperature. There are some, be careful, because not all of them can tolerate the cold, the winter here. That would be one that is great. You can put it outside right now, but it can't take the cold. You have to bring it inside for the winter.
Annual, perennial.
So
Comes back every year
if
this
you're
month.
not sure, ask the question of a professional. Can this take the winter cold? Don't assume that it can, because some can.
This is Californians. You guys are famous for your succulents. And virtually all of them will die here in the winter. So you want to be able to get more mistakes of folks bringing their succulents over and they melt down when it gets down to mid-20s. That's because they're zoned, they're for zone 9, 10, 11, a warm zone, not for a cold zone. Okay? This is zone 4 or 5, some crazy, it goes down to minus 20 degrees, some crazy cold, and then comes back. I love this in that most sedums bloom early to midsummer. This one blooms summer through fall. This is all called Autumn Joy sedum. And so this is not actually a flower. This is the flower head. So it will actually open up and be pinks and reds and different colors to it. There's a variegated variety. It's got a bright gold and silver leaf tone to it. It has the same flower. It's pretty for its bloom. And then also we're bird gardeners. And I noticed in early spring, before things are really out, little sparrows and finches love to use this as a food source. So come in like a flock of 20 little tiny chickadees or something will come flock on this and peck the leaves off, eat the leaves, and then they'll just all fly off at once. It's like comical. But they use it as a food source out in their yard. Then once everything else starts coming up, they stop eating this and the pressure is off and it starts growing up. But we put some of those out just for our birds and we'll enjoy the flowers later.
How much did they get?
Oh, that's pretty mature right there. That's fully mature.
Is this the evergreen?
No, it dies back to the ground. You prune it back just like a perennial. It comes back fresh every spring. Yeah.
That's Autumn Joy. There actually are some succulents that will stay green
Yeah.
in the wintertime.
Chicks and
Hens and chicks.
hens and chickens. See, you can't go wrong with
The
it.
Angelina, which is a real pretty light green, kind of ground cover one, stays evergreen. The blue spruce,
Yeah,
ground
that's
cover
neat.
stays evergreen. So check out the sedum.
We have a lot of the ground cover varieties in containers and they just flow and they get these long tendrils that flow down. Really neat. Evergreen. Get these old fluorescent, cacti type of flowers. They're fun to play with. But if you travel or you just don't think your thumbs are green enough, start playing with sedums and you'll think you're the best gardener ever because they're just so easy to work with. So, you want to
Yeah,
mention the
they're
Vinca
good.
carrot?
You paired it with the Vinca. They're good because Vinca is not a heavy water user. You can put it with things that don't require a lot of water.
I just thought that looked good together.
It's a gorgeous
A lot of
picture.
times, what I'll do is we'll put a perennial in a pot, but they're not quite big enough to fill the pot up yet. They'll grow up. So we'll put annuals in the front of the pot. Annuals die out in the winter. And so we'll use those as filler until the perennial fills out. And then once the perennial is full enough, we'll stop putting annuals in there. We'll just take this, beautiful enough to carry itself, and then we'll just let that do all the work. We're big on comparing perennials as an anchor and then annuals to go with it. It's so we don't have to plant so much. So we're not planting every year, the whole container every year. We have a lot of perennials in our pots. We have trees. Now I've got peaches this big about to be harvested in containers of all things. So, okay, done with that. Clay, or concrete. This is fiberglass and concrete mix, and that's why it lasts. A lot of concretes will actually break here, but once you put fiberglass in it holds the concrete together, but it's lightweight. That's the beauty of it, okay? Yes?
Does that fade with the sun? A lot of like your plastics and all that kind of thing.
It doesn't,
fade.
It does
it's
fine.
not bad. It does not get as
holds up
hot.
better than the plastics.
It doesn't get as hot.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems to do pretty good that way. Yeah, it's good that way. So done with this plant, right?
Yes.
So, seed on. What else? You want to go with clays? These are just so heavy, I can't lift them. So now
See
we
how
can,
long you can hold it.
now you just explain clays and what the benefits, pros and cons.
So these are a lot of our, like you've seen, our big pots out there. So they are heavy, like Ken said. You can stand there and hold it very well.
That's me. I'm sure it's me. If I can play with this. But I'll play while you
So,
talk.
yes, they are heavy. And especially once you get a plant and you get soil in them, you're not going to be moving them around the yard every week. So you want to figure out where you want to put it. The wonderful thing about it is they hold up forever. So yes, you have an initial investment in them because if you look at the price, they are not inexpensive. But they will hold up a long, long time. We have had some of our pots
Too long.
easily-
Yeah, too long.
You almost get tired of them.
Yeah.
We've easily had them 15 years, if not longer.
We've been to 3 different houses with us.
Yeah.
Kind of go with us.
And one of our pots, a kid was learning to drive a stick shift, kind of rolled into it, it had a crack in it. It's probably had a crack now, what, 10 years?
Now I actually replaced that 2 years ago.
Replaced it?
We cracked from here to there, and I ran it for a year, and I went, it's just, we own a garden center, we can afford another pot.
But even with a crack in it, it will hold up. I mean, they're really good pots. They're, in the wintertime, if they have soil in them, they're not gonna get that freeze thaw and crack. You know, they're not gonna break down, they're not gonna get the splits in them. They just hold up really, really well. They're high fired.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna deteriorate. You're not gonna have problems with them.
Anytime you see the word Malaysia, India's pretty good. It's mainly Asia is where you're looking at. China, Vietnam. They've got good clay, so good quality, dense clay, and they kiln dry them. So they're putting them through a kiln that actually high fires them. So I actually have a ring. You'll hear a ring to them. They're that quality. And they're substantial, so you can even use them in commercial settings where you don't have to worry about them walking off. So they're so heavy. I mean, you got equipment to move this stuff. So, so that's the beauty of them, and they're just beautiful even without. Oh, thank you, Ken. Yeah, I guess. Thank you. So anyway, how many of you saw? I had last week. I had quails. They were roosting in a container by our garage. They were right there. We'd spook them every once in a while. So they'd been there for like a month. They hatch. I was out reading a book out in the front yard, and all of a sudden these old baby quails started pouring out all over the place. They couldn't walk. They're stumbling around. They're like trying to figure out how to walk. I'm going, that's pretty neat. You don't get to see baby quail hatch every day. So when they hatch, Mama would kick them out, just throw them over the pot. They'd stumble around the patio. We had a half dozen of them or so, maybe 10. And so I went, I've got to Instagram and Facebook this. So I took a video of them stumbling around. The thing went viral. We put it into our newsletter, and it's had over 9,000 views just on YouTube, and it's had hundreds and hundreds of Facebook and Instagram feeds. How many of you saw that? Oh, good. Wow, that's good. So a quarter of the group. If you're not seeing that kind of stuff, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get to see these funky things we find in the garden. It's all garden related, so you all would like it. And then you get to see a few funky family things. We're a family business. So we went on family vacation to Roswell, New Mexico. You get to see the whole family. It's very personal. You get to see our gardens. Most of the photos are of our gardens, our patio. But we're sending a newsletter sign up. If you want that, great. If you don't put your name down. If you want to try it, you want to get away from it, later we put this huge subscribe button on so you can get away. We don't like to trap people, so we don't want you on the list. If you don't want to see it, we don't want you. So you can get off and on as you choose onto the list. Okay? There's like 10,000 people on the list. It's frightening how many people follow you in your gardens. Anyway, should we do, so clay, this is great in that they're pretty. You garden in them year round, and they reflect the heat. So the plants don't roast inside. The sun can hit this, and it's not going to roast the roots like a plastic or metal. Sometimes metal gets very hot, and the plants will struggle keeping them watered. The sides will shrink on you, so then all of a sudden it's hard to water them. You don't have the same issues with this. One thing I do notice is that you tend to garden too small sometimes. They look so big here at the garden center, then you take them home and then they get dwarfed. So if in doubt, go with larger. Especially if you're going to grow shrubs, trees, and vines. In pots, I brought this one mainly because it's the smallest size we would really grow in. This is what, about 18 inches, 14, 16 inches across, something like that. I brought it as a size thing. This is a good size to grow just about anything you want in it. I don't know if I'd go trees, but definitely a lilac, the Gara we had, sedums. This happened to be a hydrangea. This is a shade-loving plant. We can grow hydrangeas here. This is zone 6 or 5, and it's repeat bloomer. And it just paired well with the cobalt blue. It just looks good. So by your front door, that back patio that's covered, that's a great place to have containers with shade kind of plants like this. Everyone wants a hydrangea. Very few can have it because we have so much sun here. They don't like sun and they don't like wind. But they love shade, a little protection. Well, there's some spots in your yard where you can do that. And a lot of them will accommodate container gardens. But mainly I brought it for, this would be about the minimum size. You can go bigger, and what it is, it's water holding capacity and soil capacity. It's all about the soil. So the more soil you have, the more water, more fertilizer, more fudge factor, more mistakes you can make. Anyway, go with that. You want to add to that?
I have a topiary ivy. I grow in a pot about that size.
2 of them.
Mm-hmm. And then I also have a Japanese maple that I grow in a pot about that size. So yeah, I wouldn't go any smaller than that for growing trees and shrubs in, but you'd be amazed that you can grow in a container.
So right by the front door, we've got this structured topiary double pom-pom ball thing. Planted a ivy in it. We just keep it shaped like that. It looks really neat. We put some lights in it, so it comes on at night. It greets you. It just says, "I'm so happy you're home. Welcome." That's what it is. But it's this big covered patio. The front door is kind of hard sometimes because there's so much protection there. So our question was, I've heard Coke cans, fill them with Coke cans, peanuts, use filler to keep the weight down.
Okay.
Don't do that here. That's more Midwest, East Coast stuff. For here, that's HGTV stuff. Here, the more soil you have, the better you are. Because the more water you're going to have. We're so dry and so windy and so you need more soil.
Fill it all with potting soil.
Right soil, potting soil, right from top to
No
bottom.
rocks or nothing.
As much as you can.
Okay.
Don't put anything in there. Don't put rocks in. Yeah.
I don't know where the whole rock thing came
I don't
from,
either.
but if you take a heavy pot and you throw rocks in the bottom of it,
It's already heavy.
yeah. And, I think the concept was drainage maybe, but I think if you're using a really good potting soil, it's going to drain.
Well, this was a guy that lives up here somewhere.
Yeah. Well, not everyone's smart that talks gardening,
Well,
so.
yes.
We should just cover soils. Once you just hear use a good potting soil, just cover soils. Here.
Can I just ask you, do you have to take crosscloth and wrap the whole thing in up there for the winter?
No, we We don't do any of that. That's
If you're
work.
using a good pot, you know, that's been high fired, no.
And we never protect any of our pots ever. And they're decades old. Some of them are very old.
I bought several of the pots for you guys last year, this size and bigger. I'm probably gonna have to get a second mortgage just for potting soil. Do you recommend using 100% potting soil? You don't mix in with regular sandy dirt, 50/50 or anything, just straight potting soil?
Just cover potting soil, Lisa.
So the reason we recommend just using straight potting soil, it's just gonna save you a lot of work on the back end. If you try to mix it with your native soil, you've seen our native soil, right? It's horrible, it truly is. So, yes, it's an investment, but it's gonna save you a lot of aggravation later, because good potting soil is gonna drain well, so you're not gonna have drainage issues. Your plants are gonna be able to root out well, because it's not gonna be heavy, so you're gonna get good root development. Your plants are gonna be happier and healthier. If you try to mix it with other things, it's just, the plants are not gonna root out as well, they're not gonna be as healthy. You're not gonna have fungal issues because you're not gonna have a heavy, boggy soil. So we just recommend going straight potting soil.
No, we don't recommend that. We recommend Waters potting soil. And let me tell you why. She mentioned there's good potting soil, and which means there's bad potting soil. There is bad potting soil. Let me just be right up front. Stay away from that Miracle-Gro garbage. We stopped selling that. It's the number one selling everything. Soils, fertilizer, everything. It's a marketing company. It's not even a gardening company. It's garbage for us. So it stays too wet, too boggy. It's more for the East Coast thing. It's not for Arizona. And so plants literally dampen off, rot and fall over.
I'm not sure what they put in it, but they changed their formulation.
Oh, it's very frustrating.
Their price down, and it really does stay too wet. A lot of people think, oh, you want it to stay wet. Oh, I don't want it to water as much. But it actually does cause root rot, and you do get the dampening off, and that's what causes your plants to just kind of melt away.
Yellow and fall over. Yeah,
And
it's terrible.
just bad.
This is our grower helped us put this together. Potting soils are a razor's edge. You want them to stay moist, but you want them to dry out enough to get the roots through. This is like, you got to be exact. And so we made this for here, for this dry climate. Most soils are made for more humid. Let's face it, no one lives in Arizona. They live in Chicago to Boston to DC. That's where they're making all the products for. All the stuff you read in Fine Garden Magazine and TV, they're made for Chicago, Boston, DC. That's where most of humanity lives on the planet, at least in America. So they don't make products for us. And so we're making, I've tried to get them to modify and manufacture things for the Southwest, and they just don't have interest. And so we make our own. We make our own soil. So fill it directly up with this, plant directly in it. Let's cover real quick too, should we replace all the soil every year? No. Just fill it up. You can reuse it. What we do is, we'll replace some. We want to add some freshness every year, but you can't practically, a big pot, you can't replace every year. Our small pots, we do dump it out. We'll add it to our raised beds out there and put fresh new soil. Because there's so many roots, you just see the roots filled up the pot. As those old roots, or old stems, or old plants from last year, as they decompose, they taint the soil. And some plants can actually have creosotes or arsenic back in the soil. They actually prevent root growth. So what we're trying to do is, where the roots were, we're trying to get some of that soil out and add freshness. So in our core plants, our core pots, the big ones, we have perennials. We're adding some annuals or vegetables. We're changing out vegetables every year. There we'll try to dig out the old roots and then a little more and use that out in the raised beds out there. And then we'll add some fresh potting soil every year. So sometimes we reuse soil too long, and then all of a sudden you're finding it grew so well last year, this year it's not doing so well. That's because the soil got old. There's too many things in there. So filter out some of those roots as best you can, then try to add some freshness every year. to all of your pots. Really small pots, I'd say replace all things this big and smaller. Replace all the soil every year because that's not very much soil. Big pots, just replace some pockets
What if you have pests?
of soil. Does it make sense?
What if you have pests? Would you still just only replace permanent?
Pests like bugs.
Yeah, like,
Bugs should be killed. Yeah. We'll show you how to kill them. If you got a lot of pest issues, sometimes ants can get in there. Grubs, we try to filter out. Sometimes you see those white worms in there. There's not a lot of those in a pot. They're mainly out in the yard. Just depends on what it is. So that's when come talk to us when we have a sidebar kind of meeting to kind of analyze it together. That's where more heads are better. That's what gardening's all. That's why it's so social. It's meant to be done together, socially. It's meant to be done as a community. And so that's where you come to us. We'll help you. We like hanging out with gardeners. We'll share our ideas in the back, I think, first.
So your soil, does it have fertilizer added, or is that something that you have to do on your own?
It's a peat moss based soil. So she asked, what's in the potting soil? Is that the question?
Yes.
It's a peat moss mainly. So we're trying to counteract the pH of our water. So peat moss makes it acidic. We do add some compost to it, some perlite, that white fluffy stuff. That's what adds the drainage. We do put a 5-5-5 organic fertilizer to stabilize it.
So do you, what about, you always hear about like coconut coir that you can add?
Yeah.
That helps with a little bit with the moisture?
Yeah. Now you're getting into your own recipes, coconut coir, some of these products. I've played with that. I can't seem to get the consistency right. It comes in blocks and bricks. And I tried polymers. So we make our own polymer. This is that, the gelatin stuff. It swells up, holds like 200 times its weight in water. This is great stuff. We use it a lot in our containers. I tried to add it to some of our hanging baskets. I tried to add it to some of our soils, but then everyone thought it was snail eggs or something weird. They didn't know what it was, so it didn't work. It turned people off instead of on. So now we just sell it separate, instead of separate ingredients. So adding it to because it was too confusing, too hard to explain what it was. So we played with some of those. This is the recipe we've come up with ourselves. It's affordable. It's consistent. It's the same every time. Soils are a recipe. You have the same recipe. It's like baking. You have the same recipe every time. So that's us.
So what do
Okay.
you think about worm casings?
So I heard a woman ask me what I thought. What did she say?
About
I love that. Wow.
Don't get used to it.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
worm casings.
Worm casings are good. You should use them if you like them. But they're not for everyone. So anyway, we're putting together for the mass, the community. Then you get into different, everyone's, if you get into cords, if you do other thing, make your own recipe. We've got the parts, we can help you do your own. You're gonna make some absolute blunders. You're gonna get too much worm casting. The core won't saturate, hydrate enough. So you make some absolute blunders, and then you start honing in, you get your recipe just right. Once you get it just right, share it with others. This is the recipe we came up with, okay? You gotta keep moving here. Yes?
How high up in your pots?
Oh, that's good.
Do you
Oh,
put your soil so that your root ball is, I guess,
yeah, that's good. We should go over that.
It is good. So main things, well, no.
No, that's a good question. It's one that makes a lot of mistakes.
Because you want to give yourself enough room in your
You should
pot.
repeat the question so that people
Oh,
are
so
back.
she was asking how high up in your pot do you put your soil to give yourself, you want to cover your roots, but you also want to give yourself enough room so that in water, your soil just doesn't go poof right out of your pot. So usually when I'm potting, the first time I pot something, I actually kind of fill it pretty full because I know as I water, the first few times it's going to compact down a little bit more. So you always want to make sure your roots are covered, but you don't want to put things in so deep that you're going to rot the plants out. So, it's kind of wherever that soil level is, wherever that plant was potted in that container, you want to make sure that's even with your soil in your pot. But you always want it in your container, give yourself some room so that you can put some water in there, and the water's not going to flow right out of the top of it.
Generally, we had 2 inches we'll leave from the top.
Right.
Just, oops.
You unmiked yourself.
Generally, we'll
Give
go
yourself
2
a
inches from
couple
the top, so
inches.
you got enough room to water. We have drip irrigation watering all of our stuff. So everything's got on computers, run everything. But sometimes you want to manually add to, just for a hot day, or you're just bored, or you're just hot. You want to water your plants. I feel like I'm taking care of so I leave myself room to add some moisture. Okay, you want to water your plants until the water is coming out of the bottle. That's how you know you have enough. Okay, so if you're not seeing water come out that hole, drain hole, you're not watering enough. Plants will dry out. Also, if your pots don't have a hole in the bottom, you're basically gardening in a bathtub where when you water, it will fill with water and a little bit more water, and eventually it's going to fill with water, and you're just dealing with a big old tub of water, and things will die. So you do need drainage in the bottom. So make sure there's a hole. It doesn't matter what size hole. Water's hydraulic, it will go, gravity will pull it through and suck it out. You just need a hole. That's not bad. You just need an individual hole from the bottom. For me, I like to go a little bit smaller, a little bit lower. I tend to I'm an American. More is better, bigger. I like to supersize. Everything about it's more. So I tend to overfill with too much soil. And now I've got this mounting effect. I'm trying to figure out where do I put the rest. For me, just with my brain, I tend to go a little bit shorter. And I can always pull the plant up a little bit and tuck some more soil in until I get to my 2 inches from the top. That's how I do it. So it just depends. I find most folks tend to overfill pots so they don't have any capacity at the top when they're all done. The other mistake I find that looks funny, don't go too low, or it just looks like, what, they didn't have enough money for soil, they run out of, what happened? They didn't buy enough bags? You don't want the plants to go up past, grow to the top and then out. You want them to be sort of at the top when you're done. So about 2 inches from the top. Looks right, the proportions are right, and it's easy. So anyway, this size pot I put together topiary and the white lobelia.
Very pretty.
Thank you. That's one I put together myself, yeah. I'm a man, I can put colors together, yes. It's green with red, there we go. At the front of our garage, we've got 2 big pots on either side of the garage. It's a classic look. Big houses, big fronts, there's big posts, classic, putting one on either side. So we did that, we've got spirals going up. Just because it has a formal, when you drive in, you kind of go, oh, that's unusual, wow, that's neat. The rest of the yard is informal, kind of rough, wild, let go, pretty. At the front garage, we've got formal. So at the front door, formal. We've got the ivy with the topiary things in, but it adds this feng shui feel going. It's natural, but look, it's been gardened with, so you get this feeling with it. I love this plant because it's lobelia. It's an annual, but this thing will bloom till Thanksgiving or beyond. And then it gets these long tendrils and flows down, so you can barely see the pot when it's all done. It's just this huge white snowball. It's beautiful. And so it looks good as an underplanting at the base of some of your trees. So this one I just said, oh, something would be nice. It's just a big root ball. You need something down there to cover up this topiary. Topiaries give you some room to garden at the base. So I just said, keep it simple, formal, white, with red, looks good.
I made a mistake when I did our pots, our topiaries in front, I put vinca in it.
Yeah.
And I should have, I mean, it looked good the first year, and I should have yanked it out.
okay.
But, because now it's pretty much, we can't put anything else in there.
Vinca, like the perennial green makeup, it's a weed. It will choke out everything. And so you just have to start over sometimes. You go, it's nice to start over. I want to start over. Some of our colors let's face it, some of the colors don't quite go like they used to. Oranges aren't popular like they were in the 70s. That's all you want to start over. I know this comes back. It's crazy. You want me to drag this thing over so you can see it? So you can see the size of the pot? I think I can do it. Let me see. Oh, it smells good too, my goodness.
I can't believe it's blooming again.
I know, it's great. Repeat bloomer.
Well, yeah, that's a wisteria. Isn't that
It
beautiful?
was blooming a month and a half ago, and now this one, just had another crop come in, it's blooming again.
But like you were saying, you'd be amazed what you can grow in a container, given the size of the container. So this is the wisteria growing in here. So there again, it's kind of more of a tree, what do they call that one? It's not the, they
It's a
trained it to
wisteria
be
on-
more
on a
tree
standard.
one. On a standard, there we go, thank you. So you've got a lot of room around the base of it, so you can grow something pretty around the base of it. You chose the celosia, which is kind of a cool plant to throw around the bottom
I
of
just
it.
thought blue and gold kind of went together, kind of contrasts.
Badger color.
I know, go Badgers, yeah, class of 81.
So,
Prescott High School. In case- For the foreigners, it's Prescott High School, Badgers. Well,
so of course, this will go dormant in the winter time, but won't have leaves on it in the winter time, but it would still need to be watered in the winter. So your container plants in the winter time, even if it has a dormant plant in it, it will need water.
Yeah.
Don't forget to water containers in the winter, even if they're dormant. Probably what, every 2 weeks, would you say?
yeah, also if it's a really cold cycle coming through, you know the weatherman goes, oh, it's gonna be a cold one, coming from the north. And everyone goes to the grocery store and empties all the shelves. You know the storm system. If you see that happening, water your containers. A hydrated plant goes to the cold better than a dry plant. It's counterintuitive. Just water your containers and they'll go through that just like it was nothing. Wisteria will go down to -40. Unless it's dry and you get a real cold. Then it's a wimp. You'll get winter burn, you'll have issues. So this is an annual, so I plan on planting that every year, something different because I want to have some fun with this. Also with trees and big vines, like we've got hops growing in big pots right now. The deck is a story and a half from the deck, and then it grows a nut on top of the railing. So this hops is a beautiful, like brewer's hops, like beer hop. We're growing this because I'm bored. I want to play with hops. So we've got it growing 2 stories up and then across the railings. It's magnificent. I tend to cut that back all the way back to the beginning, all the way back to the ground, and it starts over fresh every year. So don't be afraid to cut these things back. Keep them under control. If it's in a pot, be aggressive. So the peach tree, got a big old peach tree about this size pot, and I just keep it small. I keep it in proportion so it looks balanced for the container size. I don't let it grow as big as I would out in the yard. Does it make sense? So it's okay to keep things shaped and groomed if it's in a container, more aggressively than in a pot. Okay?
So the other thing about these being seasonal in the wintertime, so September, October, we could switch these out and put pansies,
Oh, yeah.
ornamental
Good idea.
kale, put the winter loving, cool season things in. So you can change them out seasonally, so you always have color going into your containers. You know, if you had an evergreen or anything, change it out, your color out seasonally.
Does the wisteria require shade here, though? I mean,
Yeah, full sun.
Yeah, you can put it on an east side or full sun. either way.
We've had it in Skull Valley, 4,200 feet, full sun. Did fine. You'll see it on railings, fences and stuff, full sun. Down driveways, full sun. I'd say this needs at least 6 hours of sun to really do well, to have the flowers to it. So.
A long time.
Amazingly long time. We have 10 minutes.
It'll limit, sometimes when you're growing in a container, it'll limit the size that it can get. You know, they won't get as big as they do when they go in the ground. And it probably would limit their lifespan growing in the container, but yeah, you can leave them in containers.
A decade, I mean, for a crazy long time. You'll know when they're root bound when you water them, and the water no longer seeps through the bottom. It just sits there on top. It's got so many roots, the water can't even get to the roots. You go, I'm gonna have to start over. And then it's sawzalls and digging bars and picks, and you're trying to get all this root ball out. You think, oh, well, I'll just transfer it down because I'm a gardener. I don't like to kill things. I'll transfer this. Now, at that point, there's no way you're getting that thing out of there. It's been in there for 10 years. Junipers, I love growing junipers because they're so tough. They're green all the time. You can shape them the way you want. They're just tough. But eventually they become so root bound. But I've got some boxwood that have been a little tiny pot, like this big, for like 15 years. It's crazy. I expect them to die, they just keep going. I want them to die at this point, 'cause I'm tired of them. I've lived 15 years of the same plant. I'm tired of it. So I might just kill them off this winter, I don't know, we'll see. As soon as I get, anyway, as soon as I see something else, like this beautiful blueberry,
Yeah,
I might trade them out with that.
I think so.
I don't know. I'm floating the idea right now.
We do have blueberries in pots. And blueberries grow wonderful in pots.
Man, those are good.
We have raspberries in pots.
Yeah,
And blueberries
yeah. Hops.
in pots.
Blueberries actually don't like Arizona. They prefer in containers. They don't like our water, very alkaline. They like acidic soil and acidic water. They like the Midwest. It's where they're famous. But in a container, it seems to do quite well. But containers, you're using the right potting soil, it's mainly peat moss. Peat moss is very acidic. When you fertilize, you're going to fertilize with the water's all-purpose plant food, which has sulfur in it, makes it acidic. The main ingredient is cottonseed meal, makes it acidic. So you're always trying to make things acidic here. And so blueberries respond quite well for that. In the ground, I found they just turned yellow and emaciated. And in a container, a raised bed with potting soil does quite well. And it's pretty, just a pretty plant. It's gorgeous. You can come with your grandkids all day long. We'll gorge ourselves with blueberries. We can't eat anymore.
Two and a half.
Yeah, I kind of keep it shaped depending on the size of the pot. That I would grow like this size pot, this blue one that we saw. I would go that size, but mainly because it's a plant that'll grow larger, and it can grow for years and years that way in one pot. Full sun, the park shade. Let's say again, at least 6 hours of sun to get the blueberries. It would probably grow in the shade, but it just won't berry up. So it's a pretty plant, even without harvesting the berries. And it still tastes blueberry. It's so good. 7 minutes. Yes. Whoa! Hi. The whole group is over there.
What about blackberries?
Yeah. Blackberries are big. I'm trying to introduce a new blackberry bush, dwarf. The blackberries are a bramble, and they get as big as you and me, and they get huge. So you want a bigger pot for that to grow in. You could definitely grow in a bigger pot, brambles. And if you shaped it right, it could be quite pretty. If you have the right shape, big brambles coming out, that could be actually a designer-esque kind of thing. So yeah,
There is a raspberry bush. So there's a
razzleberry.
raspberry. Yeah, we have one, actually.
Yeah, it's in a big pot like that, and it's a bush instead of a bramble. So most raspberries are brambles. It's a bush, beautiful, perfect globe. So look at the black. We're about to harvest raspberries now, so just loaded with raspberries. So you can do that. Okay. Ocotillo. We're very borderline for ocotillo. It grows down in the 4,000 foot level. Baghdad. They're thick. Skull Valley, Hillside. You're going out towards Fortis Junction, those areas, it grows quite well. Here, if you have the right microclimate, it's a zone 8 kind of plant. We do have one in our neighborhood that's huge, it's magnificent.
Yeah.
You'll see random species around every once in a while. But I think in a pot, it would do very well because you've got drainage, you can control, you can actually move it close to the house if you know you're going to go sub-zero. Mainly the reason I think these die is it doesn't like heavy clay soil. They drown in our heavy mountain clay soil. That's the main thing. I think in a pot it would do quite well. And it screams Southwest. It just says, I want to eat your face. It just says, you know, it's big old thorns. It says, great Southwestern kind of plant. We've got this one too. It kind of goes together. This is Euphorbia. Sorry, what was the name of that? Ocotillo. Ocotillo, whatever you spell Ocotillo. Don't pronounce the double L's though. This is Euphorbia. It's an evergreen perennial. We've got this in a puny little pot out by the driveway where it just roasts. It's scorching hot. And it loves it. It's like a lonely evergreen perennial. This is the flower on top, and the foliage is evergreen like that year round. It's a neat, funky, heat-loving, zero-scape, you can't make a mistake unless you overwater it kind of plant. I mean, this is kick dirt, talk dirty, I mean, just curse out. It will still grow. It just grows well. Euphorbia, E-U-P-H-O-R. Come up and look at the tags afterwards. Don't ask me to spell it. Okay. Why don't you go down the line real quick for the plants and then
Yeah.
we'll wrap this thing
So
up.
heuchera, another one, don't ask us to spell it, comes in a variety of flavors, colors. I always thought this one needed shade until Kim threw it on the patio in a hot sun, and it's done well. So yes, you can grow it in the sun.
It grows anywhere. It's amazing. Also called coral bells, these little flowers that kind of come up. You're planting it for the foliage.
Coneflower, echinacea, great perennial, great wildflower, wonderful for the birds and the butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
Coreopsis, another great wildflower, does great in containers or in the ground. Another butterfly.
These are all things that you can plant right now in the heat of summer. They're going to love it. In fact, you can't find these in the spring. They're only available when it's hot because they like the summer.
Agastache, this is a great one if you have animal, bunnies, deer, javelina. They will not, well, the minute I say they won't.
They won't eat
They'll
that.
come in and eat it. But if you smell it, it has a very strong, like licorice smell to it. Hummingbirds love it, but it's just very animal resistant.
Can you repeat the name?
Agastache.
It doesn't have a good name. It just has the Latin name. That's all it's got.
A-S-T-A-C-H. Okay.
Yeah, and then afterwards, come up and look at the tags. And then please, take them, put them on a cart, buy them. So I don't have to put them away down around the nurseries. Anyway, that's,
Also herbs. If you guys haven't grown herbs do wonderful in containers, and they do great mixed in with other things. You can mix them with your flowers. They actually do really, really well. And many of them are perennial. So it's great to mix them
kind
in.
of feed you some.
Oh.
Two people are going to ask.
So this is an annual, but it is a great annual. This is a Pinta. Loves the heat. If you have a hot spot, Pintas do wonderful. They even do great down in Phoenix, so you know it's going to do good up here. A butterfly magnet.
Oh, yeah.
Butterflies love it. It comes in the reds and pinks and purples. Just a terrific container.
I just saw some swallowtails. It's that big yellow butterfly with the tails on the end. They were all over that this morning. I had replaced about 2 weeks ago, just before a vacation, all the pansies and Johnny jump ups and violas were looking terrible. I said, you're out. Pintas are in. And the butterflies were all over them. They love the heat. They live for the heat.
Angelonia, a good replacement for snapdragons.
Yeah.
Snapdragons don't like the heat, but the Angelonia does, loves the heat. So good one for that. And then-
mention daylilies?
I did.
It was blooming yesterday. Now it's just a green thing. Don't mention daylilies.
This is a salvia. This is an annual salvia. But look at that bright red color. Doesn't that stand out? Isn't that amazing?
There were hummingbirds all over that.
Yes, absolutely gorgeous. Nice, tall, going to be beautiful in the pot. You want something tall in the container?
It's made for, it screams, put me in a
Yes.
oxblood red or
You betcha.
aqua colored pot.
Absolutely gorgeous. This is a bay laurel. For those of you who like to do Italian cooking, be a great one to put out.
Evergreen plant, zone 8. So that's one. I've actually had that winter over down in Skull Valley. It wintered over. Up here, it's tried to winter over a couple of times, but it doesn't winter over. So we sold it as an annual. So you put it in a container, you bring it indoors through the winter. It's a beautiful evergreen shrub. Or I think it might winter over. You tuck it up against the house. It's amazing how much heat your house throws off in the winter. You think you're all insulated, but that reflective heat coming off from the sun, just your radiated heat from the house, it seems that it creates another microclimate. Or I think that might come back. Even a covered overhang or something, I think it will come back. A bay laurel, good herb for here.
Cover them all?
I think so. What else do you want to cover? What other questions? Euphorbia.
Spring turning.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Duh. Go for it, Elise.
So, that is a cross between
Digitalis,
Foxglove
Foxglove.
and some other obscure little thing. But it's a zone 8, so it's kind of one of those ones. It might winter over, might not, depending on where you're at, the right conditions. It'll bloom all summer long. You just gotta cut the dead, thin blossoms, prune it back, it'll keep blooming. It needs a shadier spot in the yard, but really a cool plant. The hummingbirds love it.
We put it by our front door, it's more shaded.
Yeah.
You know, when you walk to our house, it looks like a botanical garden. You like going, I'm so glad I'm home. It just feels good.
I am a lot by the front door.
We did.
It's like finding the doorbell. Pardon? Digiplexus.
Digiplexus. No good name, just a Latin name. I wish they'd come up with good, like,
This one's called Illumination something.
I put this together because teal is coming back, that turquoise and teals are back in style. So this is a trendy kind of pot, but then it has this formal, it says Southwest pot, and it has this more East Coast thing. It just has this look to it that says, wow, that should be in a magazine, I thought. I would take a picture and put it in a magazine.
It's very pretty.
It's neat, yeah.
Our daughter, the reason we brought home another pot last night is our daughter took a bright teal container and she put one of those bright coleases in it. It was absolutely gorgeous. It's like, I can't say this gorgeous, but it was just, I think what I like about containers is you can mix colors together and it's good. And you're not afraid to put things together and have them look bright and colorful. And you can do so much with it. Yes.
I'm from the Midwest where you know you grow things, and it's fabulous. I am so lost out here. I am so lost out. I used to have beautiful gardens in my yard, so it has really been a learning experience for me. One of my favorite plants is the clematis. What do you do out here? But I can't. It just seems like there's the clematis wilts,
So repeat the question for the
So
folks over here so they
clematis.
know. She's from the Midwest and she loves clematis. How do you get it to grow? They get
So
that, just,
clematis here, you shade the roots, and you can do that by putting
I
like a
do
shredded
that. I
bark,
do that, but they seem to want to burn up out
water. It's it's learning to grow here in Arizona is a challenge. And like Ken said, you probably kill things before you figure it out. But it's just trying, you know.
and I say the best clematis I've seen growing up in between other things. Like I like to pair clematis with other vines.
here. Yeah.
You know, ivies and honeysuckle. And so the clematis really is an ugly vine with the most spectacular flower. So I don't want to see the vine, I want to see the flower. So I'll train them up. I've seen them growing through oaks, the scrub oaks, it's puny, ugly, weedy oaks. Going up through, they just like erupt at the top. So they like very heavy shaded roots and bright tops. I've seen them, the best looking clematis I've seen anywhere are on the east facing. They get some sun, but that's some protection from that midday. That seems to be where they really shine.
Or under a tree.
Under a tree,
They make it-
those seem to be really good places. Yeah, they like the roots to be very cool. That's their main thing. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Quick overview on fertilizer. Okay, so food. Especially those of you from other areas that have food or had soil, Midwest. You actually have topsoil. Feet. I got a buddy that's got a garden center. He's got 8 feet of topsoil. 8 feet. It's crazy. I don't know where he gets it. We've got 8 millimeters of topsoil. We just don't have any. What you'll find is you have to fertilize more often. That's it. Especially if you took the backhoe and scraped your entire yard of any topsoil that was there and it's put your footers in, built your house, driveways. There's no topsoil left. Literally, you have none. Your soil is dead. So you wonder why you plant something and it just doesn't grow. It's just sitting 3 years later, it's still the same size, boxwood, silverberry, whatever it is. That's because the soil is dead. So you've done enough food to make it go. So we need to add some compost, add some organics to our soils, but mainly food. So we're fertilizing 3 times a year, spring, summer, fall. The holidays are Easter, 4th of July, timing's perfect, and Halloween. Those are ways to remember it. What to use? Water's all-purpose plant food. Yes, we make our own food. We have little minions in the back. Little elves come out. Every night they make foods and soils. This is an all-natural food. Mainly we're trying to counteract our water, which is crazy alkaline. Very high pH. We want to bring that back down. And then it's pet and people friendly. It's not going to kill your birds. It's not going to burn things like a turf builder or some of these other petroleum-based products, okay? And the beautiful thing about organics is they release over a very long period of time. So you put that down as water, rain, irrigation hits it, it releases a little food over a very long period of time. So it'll cover up those systems. Put that on right away. The whole landscape. Also, let me just cover natives. You should fertilize. Is it humid or what? It's spiked like a zillion. What is that? It's not that hot, it's humid. It's kind of rainy. Anyway, your natives, your pines especially, pinyon pines, ponderosas, fertilize those as well. You wouldn't think you need to, but you've altered nature by putting your house there. And so they're more stressed. They don't have the rain harvest, and rain has changed the way it flows. So I find that if you fertilize those once a year, your natives, it's counterintuitive. Other people don't recommend that, but I do. I've seen it make a difference with bark beetle, tip borer, scale, some of these things that eat your natives. They're stressed. Keep them healthy a little bit, and it goes a long ways. So, but definitely feed everything else, especially if it blooms. Lilacs, forsythia, flowering quince, Rosa Sharons, crepe myrtles. Make sure you fertilize those fruit trees because it takes a lot of energy to put the flowers and fruits on. So fertilize those 3 times a year. Spring, summer, fall. Easter, 4th of July, Halloween. Container pots are a little different. Containers, because you're in a microclimate, it's easy to overdo it. You're in this space. There we did make a food for containers. It's called Flower Power 54. It's 54% phosphorus. But this is a water use scoop. This is a competitor to Miracle-Gro. It's our replacement to Miracle-Gro. People kept killing things with Miracle-Gro. So I can't sell that stuff anymore. I'm going to give up a lot of sales, but I'd rather do that than kill plants. So this one does not have the salt. It's not salt-based like Miracle-Gro is. It's not going to add to your mineral, that white caking mineral buildup. It doesn't add to that. But it's 54% phosphorus. It makes things bloom. I could take this saucer, put it on the ground, put flower power on it, and start to bloom. Not quite, but it's made, really, made this like 10 years ago. People were buying flower baskets for Mother's Day, and a month later, by the end of June, they were stopped. They were just green, not blooming. We got to solve this. And so we made this to bring things, keep things blooming. It does make a difference for containers, and you can't burn with it. It's hard to overdo it. It's recommended to use it twice a month. Water things in. Okay? Yeah.
Speaking of water, I have one of those skid water heaters. Do you recommend that for figuring out when you need water?
So you cover that. It's your thing. Repeat the question, or just because they didn't hear it. Oh.
So you have a moisture meter.
Yes.
That is a great tool to use in containers, especially the smaller containers. When you get into the great big containers, it's not quite as effective. The thing I recommend with them is make sure you're putting it in a couple of different spots in the container because sometimes you'll get different readings. And sometimes they can get old and they lose their effectiveness. So, but yeah, moisture meter is a great tool because it gets far down and they have like a 10-inch, 12-inch gauge on them. So yes, because sometimes your containers can look dry on top, but you go down and they're really wet down below. So it does give you a good gauge of do I really need to water? Is it really wet or is it really dry? So yes, it is a good tool to use.
Until you learn our dry climate, if you're new to the area, moisture meters are great. Because you just don't know how often, and it changes. The monsoons just started, so we're no longer dry and crusty at 100 degrees. Now we're humid. And humidity in Arizona is like, wow, it spiked from 8% humidity to 30%. Oh my, I'm dying here. We don't get the 100% stuff. We get this is humid for us, and your plants. So you'll notice the plants won't dry out as quickly in July, August, as they do in June. Another thing to watch is when your soil shrinks, mainly in smaller pots. Sometimes the soil will get so dry, you just missed it. Irrigation didn't quite saturate. The soil will actually shrink off the sides. So when you water it, the water will go in, it creates like a turtle shell, and then float right back over and down around and out. It didn't hydrate. Be careful of that. So that's one that's hard to recover from So you need to really soak it several times until that soil swells back up and pushes against the sides and starts to receive the water better. So it's a tricky thing, and it's unique to dry, arid climates. You haven't seen that in the south, but it's very common in the southwest where it's dry. It's just kind of something to put on your radar and go, Ken said something, sometimes we'll take a saucer and just pick it off and put it in a saucer so the saucer's helping wick the water back up.